Okay, so for this demo, what I'm going to do is go through how to do some of the basic stuff in Sculptress. So when you open up your file, the first thing you want to do is just kind of familiarize yourself with where everything's at. Some of your main tools over on this side for moving and selecting and making things larger. The other thing is you have these different tabs up top for creating shapes, sculpting stuff, creating rigs, animating, so on and so forth. So we're going to talk about some of those things. And then also this on the right side is kind of what you would expect as like your inspector of sorts. So you have these tabs up top right, which show you like components. This one would show your attributes. This one shows tool settings. So fairly standard stuff. If you're used to using some of these programs. So first thing we're going to do is actually go to polygons. And what you're going to do is just create a circle, square, something. All right. Now, if I'm scrolling my mouse side to side or up and down, I'm able to zoom in. If I hold on Option and click, I'm able to rotate. And then Option click and smash down your middle wheel, and it gives you the grab option where you can pan. Now, if that's not working, what you need to do is go to your System Preferences, go to Mouse, and then make sure, that your drop down for this is either set to Spotlight or button 3. Either of those will work. And that's, again, for the pan where you hold on Option and then push the middle mouse wheel down, and that'll work. So from here, we're going to kind of talk about how to just maneuver stuff. You can see right away this thing, if I wanted to move it up, I can go over here to my Move tool, and I can drag it up side to side, mess with it on all those axes. Command Z will get you back. Okay, so Command Z just keeps going back. Next tool is your Rotate, and you can see right here I can just rotate it. Now with a circle, you're not going to really see, or a sphere, you're not going to see big changes. The nice thing though, if I go back to Move, is if I click in that middle blue square there, right here, what I can do is actually move the entire thing. So versus moving on an axis point or an axis. Next thing is your Scale tool. So this one will drag it out larger this way, larger, vertical, and then the entire thing blowing it up. So that's more of like a global control. So that's something I really like to use. Those are kind of like your basic tools for moving and changing things. What we're going to do right now is we're going to go ahead and I'm going to zoom out a little bit. I'm going to move this thing up. And I'm going to bring down a cylinder. And let's drag this up so I can see how I can stretch this out. Now what I'm doing here is kind of making like a chess piece type of thing. So I'm going to have these things intersect. Let me switch back to my Move tool. Now one of the things here that I like is you can connect these together. Some of the hotkeys too. Q is your arrow tool, so if I hit Q, you can see it selects. W is my move, and R is my scale. Okay, so those are important things to kind of use here. Let's see, what we're going to do next is I'm just going to bring in a couple more things and just kind of compile them. Now, I want to copy this one, so what I'm going to do is I have it selected. If I click off something, it's deselected, selected. The other thing that's kind of important is this little tab right here. This shows you what component you're using. Right now, we're using this one, which is your object selection. So what I'm going to do, though, is click on this. I'm going to Command C, Command V to paste, and I'm just going to move it down. Right? And then maybe go to my Scale tool and scale it up. All right? So I'm just kind of starting a structure here. Again, I can Command C, Command V, and then move that one down, change to my Scale tool. Now I'm clicking. I could use the hotkeys. I'm not right now. So kind of nice. We got a little structure here. All right. One thing you can do is actually stick these all together. So what I would do is whatever I want stuck together, I combine them. So I would need to make sure that I have this tab open, and I'm going to go down here to Combine. And you can see those two things now are combined. I can combine everything, or I can separate everything. All right. So those are down here. You also have those options up top. I believe right here is separate. That's combined. Okay. So I think right now they're all separated. That's good. Let's see. One of the other things we want to talk about is how to smooth something. So you see a smooth option here. Also up here, you also have your reduce. So if I click smooth, it's going to create more polygon faces. If I go the other way, it's going to reduce it. Okay. The more I reduce it, the kind of chunkier and boxier it gets. Okay, even though it's a sphere. So just kind of keep that in mind as you're doing this. From here, let's see. So I'm just going to use my Alt Option click and just drag this up. One of the tools you might use is multi-cut. You can go over here, and if I hold down Control, usually that's the opposite, but here it's going to give me like a way to create another line on here. And you can see when I hold down Control, it shows me how to cut that. And I'm just basically adding a line then, if I click, that I could edit. Okay, now I haven't shown you how to edit points yet, but we'll do that. Okay, so that being said, we are going to do that now. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go and edit some of these points on just this circle. All right, and you can see when I'm in this mode, it's just flat. Okay, but I have all these different modes. This one right here, you can see purple dots, blue lines. That is for our vertices, so points basically. Next one is for edges, so I can click on an edge and I can edit it. Next one is faces, where I can click and select a face. You can always shift select faces, vertices, edges. Okay, so if I want to shift select across there, I can do that. Or I can double click on an edge and you can see it changed that. Now the cool thing about that is, okay, I move this down, you can see which one's selected. I maybe move my scale tool and then I can move this in. Okay, so I can go through, okay, my arrow hotkey is Q, gonna go click that whole line, and then my scale tool is R, and go ahead and punch it in or pull it out, right? So that's kind of how you can manipulate full lines. Pretty cool. I want to say you could probably do the same thing vertically. Yeah, well, it's kind of, and then you could go in and do that move or kind of make indentations. And then you can always switch this up, so you can kind of see what you're making there for your sculpture, right? Kind of nice. Again, a lot of playing around, just kind of seeing what you can do. The face selection is cool too. You can drag over areas to select. So if I was like, okay, I want to pull something out of these, and I shift select them, what I'm going to do then is pull this out, and you can see that one was accidentally selected. So if I hold on shift, it deselects that one, and then boom, now I've erased that area. Okay, so I was just deselecting, right? Ways that I can kind of manipulate that. And then the edges, we kind of talked about that one. From here, see, what do we want to do? Okay, we're going to talk about some other stuff with polygons. So right now, I'm going to go and just deselect, and I'm going to drag this whole thing. We're going to combine this. Okay, so now this thing's combined. It's all one thing. Great. Okay, I could go and later sculpt this. One thing I want to show you is the Boolean tool, which is right over here. So what I'm going to do is get a circle, new circle. Let's get our move tool, and it's small, so that's why you're not seeing it right there. And what I'm going to do is just have this intersect. Okay, intersect with that circle right there. So what I'm going to do is hit Boolean, and it's going to give me some options. Oh, my bad. So it didn't do anything because I didn't have multiple things selected. So I'm going to select more, hit Boolean, and it's going to give me this option. What do you want to do? You could unionize it, okay, meaning you're combining these things. So you could do that option. You could do a difference, all right? Difference is you are, and I feel like this maybe is, let's see, intersection. Let's go normal. Okay. So union, there we go. Switch that classification there. This little pop-up, you can control what it's kind of doing. So union, now it's all tied together. Difference, let's see, I'm not exactly sure what that did that was different. Or intersection, which that's whatever two things are touching, it's taking those things. But you can also switch from normal to edge, and then you get some different options. So union then looks like this, where it's actually taking a chunk out of it. Difference, okay, there's the floating chunk that you're left with, and then intersection, which is that. And again, you can kind of mess around. I'm gonna, okay, I'll hit enter, but then, or click off, and then I'm just gonna undo it because I don't want that. Okay, I'm just gonna leave it like this or something. So that's a way to make a hole in it, or you can combine. So that's something you can kind of play around with. But that again is your Boolean tool down here. So we've kind of talked about Boolean, separate, combine, smooth. All those are really good. Talked about multi-cut. That's a good one. We'll talk about some of the other ones later. But one way to save, we want to get our stuff saved. So I'm going to File, and I'm going to Save Scene. And I'm going to save this. Now what you could do, and what I would probably suggest, is you make a new folder. Go to your desktop, and then create a new folder over here just by right-clicking. New folder. I already have one, so this is my Maya folder, and I'm just going to call this video demo. Hit save, and then this project is saved. Okay. From here, let's see, what we want to do next is we want to start messing with the sculpting. So I'm going to go back here, and I'm going to go up to this tab and click on Sculpting. And up here, I'm going to go up to my Sculpt tool, and clicked on these. Now these all do different things, right? When I go out here, notice I don't see a brush, okay? Why that is because it's probably too big. So what I'm gonna do here is click out there, and I'm gonna hold down B and drag it a diagonal. What that's gonna do is gonna pull up my mesh. It's also gonna give me my brush size. So I'm holding down B and I'm dragging either right or left, and that's changing my brush size. Now, okay, I have the Sculpt tool, so if I click on here, I'm able to add stuff on. So very similar to what most of us have used in Sculptress, where you're kind of like free sculpting. To change that intensity, because that was a really intense brush, I'm going to go up here, and it opens up this menu with my tool settings. I like to pin this, so now it's just always open. So if I click out here, it's there, and I can just move my strength down a little bit. That was a little bit too low. 441. Okay, and I can also still go back here, and if I want to go back to polygons and I want to smooth this, okay, now it's a little bit more, detail oriented. Okay, hit B, drag. Okay, now I got my tool, and you can see I can pull out more individual type stuff. Okay, go to my grab tool. All right. One of the settings you have here is your symmetry. So if I turn it off, now I'm only messing with one spot. Before I had symmetry on X, and what it was doing, you can see that I have 2 points going. So it's going on this side and this side. So anything I do to one, I do to the other. Object Y. Now let's see. Is it pulling on the bottom there? Let's see. Should be a second point. Or let's go object Z. You can see how it's pulling out those on separate edges. So that's kind of some of the basics of this. The next demo will go through a little bit further.